Good morning. This is going to be a video to show you how to draw ISO House A. ISO House A is a version of what you have seen before, what I call the ISO house. So you recognize this is a 3D model of a house. The difference is that there is a section that is flat on one side, and you can see that there are two gables, one in the front view and one in the right side view, but they have different heights, so these lines have different roof pitches. This is a version of a project that you might see in the future that looks like this right here, where you have the ridge of the roof, but you also have another ridge and then two valleys. There's a valley on either side. I've already taped down a size B paper. I've already drawn the title block. I've already measured an inch from the edge of the paper, creating a construction or projection line to draw from, as your instructions say. And now what I want to do is I want to draw the front view. Remember that this is the front view, this location right here. So looking from this view right here is the front view. And when you see that, you're going to see that it looks like the front view of the house. The instructions say that every grid on this sketch is 1/2 of an inch. I'm going to count the grids. I'm going to identify a couple of locations of spaces, and then I'll draw the front view. Starting from this point here, I count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grids, meaning that the length here is 3 inches, the length of that bottom line right there. This height right here is 1, 2, 3 inches. So this, I'm going to write it up on top here, is 1 1/2 inches tall. And I also want you to notice that I'm trying to identify this point right here, that peak point, which means that I would move over from this point 1, 2, 3 grids, which is 1 1/2 inches. And then I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is 2 1/2 inches. So this point right here is going to have an X value of 1 1/2 inch and a Y value of 2 1/2 inches. And that's how I'm going to find that point right there, measuring from my starting point. So I'm going to start the drawing in the lower left-hand corner, the front view. I'm going to measure over 3 inches. I'm going to measure up a total of 1 1/2. And then I can begin to draw this view. So I'm going to draw a line up, measure over where it's 1 1/2. I'm going to lightly draw a line across here, just lightly. I'm going to project that anyways. And now I can draw in the front view. I'm going to center this in your view right here. I'm going to zoom in just a bit. My cursor there. And now I'm going to measure over 1 1/2 inches. I'm going to lightly draw a vertical line. And from there, I'm going to measure up 2 1/2 inches. It's going to give me that point right there. Now, up until this point, I've been able to measure accurately in true length because each of these lines so far has been on the isometric grid in the sketch. These two lines right here do not follow the grid. So I don't know what their true lengths of those lines are. So in my drawing, I'm just going to connect the dots here. It's just that simple. I'm just going to connect those dots. First being that line there, hold my pencil on the dot, I line up the second one, and now I connect this one here. So that is the view right there for the front view of the ISO house. Okay, that starts our front view right there. All right. Now I want to work on the right side view. I want to move directly to the right side view. As I look at the right side view, I see another gable. I'm going to repeat this exact process to find not only the length of this bottom line, but this center point up here on the top. So let me do that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this view. Let me center this drawing a little bit. You zoom in on this with my cursor here so that we can see what's going to happen here. I'm going to count this view right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that line right there is 2 inches. This line here is 3 grids, so that's 1 1/2 inches, just like before. This point right here, though, is 1, 2 grids over, so an inch over, 1, 2, 3, 4 1/2 grids. So if each grid was 1/2 inch, it'd be 1, 2 1/4 inches to the top. So that's 2 1/4 inches. It's not quite 2 1/2, but it's 2 1/4 inches. All right. So I'm going to write that number up here, 2 1/4 inches, to that top point. So I'm going to go over an inch and up 2 1/4 in this right-hand view. See if I can center this. Draw that in down there for you. So I'm going to zoom all the way out. We move over just a little bit so that view is drawn correctly. So I'm going to measure over 2 inches. And at this time, I'm also going to make my measurement at 1 inch so that I know where to find the height. At 1.5 inches, I'm projecting from my front view. Drawing those views right there, those lines, pardon me. I'm going to lightly draw a vertical line, and now I'm going to measure 2 1/4 inches. 2 1/4 of an inch will give me the top of that view. And now I can draw in this gable. Oops. Zoom back out. Let me readjust my drawing board. Now, I want to complete the front view. I'm going to go back to the front view. I want to complete this rectangle as well as this length of this ridge of this roof. To do that, I'm going to project. I'm going to measure out the distance of this length, which is 1 inch, so I can draw in the rectangle that I see. So I'm going to draw that in. I'm going to lightly draw that in. The thing is to establish the height of this roof, I'm going to project this line over from my right side view, and then I can darken in and draw in those lines that represent the finish or the completion of the right side view. Oops. To complete the front view. To complete the right side view, I just repeat the process, but now I know the overall height of this object here. I can make the measurement of this, which I know from this drawing is also 1 inch. And now I can complete the right side view. To complete this orthographic projection, I need to draw the top view. Well, we will use our miter line. Remember, we've projected this edge of the right side view where it converges with the line on the top view, and then I can project this down where those two converge, and I can project this right side view over to establish this top view. I'm going to continue to project lines from the front view up to the top, to the right side view, over to complete the top view. One of the challenges to complete the top view is to know what the length of this peak or ridge of this roof is. That is derived by projecting this point up, and where it crosses the line that was projected from the right side creates the length of that roof. At this point, I can also use the points that I have projected and the length of that line to draw in the two lines that represent the valley of that top view. Your instructions now tell you to draw the isometric view. You've done this before. The thing is, the challenging part is to find the location of the starting point. It is 5 inches away from this right borderline and 6 inches down from the top borderline. It'll give you a starting point that will just miss. It just fits. I'll lightly draw in a line for this direction. I'll lightly draw in a line for that direction. You'll draw the isometric view as you have previously. The tricky part here is that sometimes students don't know how long some of these lines are, especially this one right here. This one right here is a sketch, so we can't really count the grids. But once we draw the top, the front, and the right side view, where we see those lines, oftentimes we can measure those directly in true length. So this line right here measures out to be, on my drawing, 2 1/8 inches. So now I can actually measure that out at 2 1/8 inches, identify the length of that line, and then I will be able to now connect the valleys, the lines of the valleys, just as I did in the top view from a point-to-point method. Notice that this line is not truly vertical, as it shows directly in here. It's not truly vertical. Okay, so then those lines then can be darkened in. Once you have the top, the front, and the right side drawn, then we can measure each of these lines in these views that are then on the plane. So you'll untape this drawing, finish the lettering, take a quality photo, submit in Canvas, hole punch, and store in your binder.